Hello, welcome to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I'm Deacon Jody Moscona. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about another media. We're going to talk about Catholic radio, something very close to my heart because I was there from the start. And with me is the president of Catholic Community Radio, David Dawson.
Howdy.
My old friend.
Yes, yes.
Look, this is like way back to Engaged Encounter time.
Oh, my gosh.
And then this latest thing is we just go way back.
And going through the beginnings of radio.
I know.
I mean, we
went
through some
Marconi. No, not that beginning.
Well, beginnings of Catholic radio in
Yeah.
Baton Rouge, but boy,
Yeah.
we had the trial and error. Oh my goodness, I think we had a lot of fun.
We did have a lot of fun. So for those of you that don't know, when Catholic Community Radio started, it was actually some taped shows on a foreign station somewhere else, and it was just an effort to get out there and get the ball rolling, and
Right.
And then you put the little music on and Christmas. What year was that again? Like '06?
That was 2009. 2009. We purchased it. Yes, 2009 in December, and so we had to hurry up and get something on the air. So I had this little
MP3 player.
MP3 player. It looked like a little matchbox, and we loaded it up with Advent music or Christmas music, and I went to the transmitter, and the transmitter's the size of a refrigerator. We had wires and everything everywhere, and I plugged in this little MP3 player, and it ran the station for a couple of weeks, giving us our ID and playing the music and letting everybody know we had Catholic radio. So, and it's grown from there. I still have the little MP3 player.
I know you do.
You've seen it.
I know.
That's right.
I know.
That's
It's
right.
been awesome.
Yeah.
So we got started in the new relationship with the radio, doing the morning show, which at the time was Wake Up Baton Rouge, and now it's Wake Up. So
Well, we've kind of expanded.
sort of, you think?
Yeah. Well, we go from Baton Rouge all the way east to, we've gotten calls from Panama City. So we've got a pretty strong signal now, depending on what station you listen to.
Right.
We started with 1380 here, and we bought 690 AM, the WTIX in New Orleans.
The almighty 690.
The almighty 690 now. That's right. That's right.
For those of you that are my age, you remember the mighty 690.
That's right. So
But
we
now
just
it's
had to tweak it a little bit. Yes. So,
That's awesome.
So it's a good, strong signal, but now, that's far we're reaching. But so the morning show, we can't say good morning. No,
Wake Up Baton
Wake
Rouge.
up Baton
You have to
Rouge.
say
Now
wake
we
up.
say wake up.
I know. And it's streaming. I see it in the morning.
So we're all over the world. That's right.
That's really awesome. I remember just a little side note when we first started. What was the way you could get it on your cell phone? It was one of the apps.
Yes, it was the TuneIn radio app. And you
TuneIn
still
radio.
can.
You still
Yes, you
can.
can.
Okay.
Yes.
So they would always say if you on your smartphone, and I had a dumb phone.
You had a. It looked like
a little dumb
it
phone.
looked like a little flip up.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I did get an iPhone before it ended.
Well, good for you.
And now I'm into the new age. So
Okay.
Not new age, but the new era.
Yes,
of,
yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the station. I know that you've expanded. Tell us about the shows. Tell us
Okay.
about what's going on.
All right.
Bring us up to date.
Okay. Well, we have an app now for your smartphone. So in case you didn't know that, Catholic
Yes.
Community Radio. All right, so we started with 1380 AM. We grew with 690 AM. Okay, so now we're on both stations. Now we have local programming. For instance, for Baton Rouge, we do Mass from Our Lady of Mercy, and we do the Rosaries different, And then in New Orleans, the New Orleans station, 690, we do Mass from the Cathedral in New Orleans. So now we've expanded now in Baton Rouge a wee bit, that we have a low-power FM signal. That's 105.9, depending on what part of the city you live in. If you live in the eastern part of the parish, from the 10-12 split on, it's 105.9. And that's 24 hours a day FM. Now, what's happening next is we've just been granted a construction permit by the FCC for what's called an FM translator. And that will be 1380 as well. 1380 AM will have an FM translator. Now you can picture this. You picture a map of East Baton Rouge Parish, and you have from the 10-12 split all the way into Denham Springs. That's 105.9, okay? This translator will go from Port Allen all the way to the 10-12 split, and it'll be 105.1. And that's in the works. We just have to get it built. And
Good.
we have some of it funded, and this could hopefully we'll get the rest soon, and we'll get it on the air.
Yeah.
Get it going.
And so one of the things that people should know that this is a lay apostolate. I mean, this is not driven by the diocese. It's been driven by you and Johnny now and the rest of your folks. And we miss Mike for sure. But
Mike Norwood was one of our original on the executive board. He was one of the beginning. There was 3 of us that got it going, and Mike had passed away in 2012.
Yeah, we miss Mike a lot. I miss him a lot. He was the radio guy.
He was. He had the baritone voice, and he knew what he was doing.
He did.
Whereas I don't think I still do.
It's all good. So from those humble beginnings of Catholic Community Radio, which was just a local station with low output, with three guys that didn't know what we were doing, well, 4, when I came in.
Yeah.
And then of course once we brought Stacy in, that gave us all credibility.
She's still with us. Stacy Galino. She joins us for the morning show. She has her own podcast now. It's really quality. She's good.
I've seen it. Yeah, it's very good. So one of the things that happened along the way was this cooperation with the Archdiocese of New Orleans, which gave you some more facilities. And talk about that a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Well, we have a studio here in Baton Rouge, but working with the Archbishop in New Orleans, we needed a studio there, and so he helped us out a great deal. So we have a smaller studio in one of the archdiocesan buildings in New Orleans. So we're able to set up cameras, and we have something similar to this, where we've hooked up the radio equipment. We're actually able to tie in the New Orleans station with the Baton Rouge station to where if you see it in the morning, if you were to watch it on the stream on Facebook, you would see a split screen. And it's some of the folks are in New Orleans, some of the folks are in Baton Rouge.
It's really cool.
It's a lot of fun because, and that was the hardest thing for us to do. But technology just keeps getting better and better. When we started, we could actually do it, but there would be this lag time. If I'd ask you a question, I'd have to wait for the answer, and then and then you would answer. But now it's all cleaned up, and
that is really good.
It's a lot better. We have learned so much.
Oh, it's tremendous, and the quality. I really like when I'm heading down to New Orleans to be able to pick up 690. It's really cool.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
It really is cool.
Really, pretty much where 1380 runs out, you just switch it over to 690. Now think about it, 690 times 2 is 1380.
I never thought about it.
I didn't either until we had it for about a year, and I was telling people about it, and somebody said, did you intend on doing that with your frequency signal? And it's like, do what? They said 1380 being twice 690. It's like, I never did the math. Thank you, God.
That is hey, he's running the show
That's
anyway.
Right. He's running the buttons,
show. So talk about the programming a little bit for the folks that are not familiar with it. Try to get them to listen.
Sure. Well, when we first started, which a lot of Catholic radio stations around the country, they do the EWTN thing, which we do too. We carry a lot of great programming from EWTN, but we have so much to offer here in South Louisiana. The people here, we're talented, we're devout Catholics. We're passionate about our faith. So we knew immediately, and you know this, Jody, that let's get these folks on the air. You were one of the first, that aren't afraid to talk about their faith. And so we started with the morning show, and now we have, in the afternoons, we have some local shows, some from Baton Rouge and some from New Orleans, and they all start around 3:30 in the afternoon. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we have the Divine Mercy Chaplet, and then we have Bishop Robert Barron, and then it goes into our local shows. You got me on the spot because I'm going to try to remember all the local shows on our schedule.
You don't have to.
Thank you.
We'll just send people your way and pump it up. So
that's right.
So I'll just tell you that from personal experience, having worked there for a while, great people, just on fire for the Lord, and just trying to do the Lord's work and share the vision of what being Catholic is for those that kind of need to be pumped up a little bit. And I'll never forget how moved I was then, and continue to be every time somebody says they found the channel, they're not Catholic, and they're becoming Catholic.
Yes, and it happens all the time. And it makes us so excited, but we'll get a call, and it'll be somebody driving across the causeway, going around his stations, and he'll, or lady, and they'll find us. And they contact us immediately because they're thrilled, or some will continue to listen. The ones that aren't Catholic continue to listen, and they go, I didn't know that about Catholics all this time. I thought you guys believed in this and this, and I didn't know it was actually that and that. You know?
Yeah.
And so it's very exciting for us to hear. It means a great deal.
Right. So when I was in formation for the diaconate, I'll never forget my last interview before they send you wherever they're going to send you. The room is full with the personnel board, and they said, well, what do you think you should do?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I don't know, but it should do something with media, because if St. Paul was living today, he'd be on the radio. And Father Tutton looked at me like with this weird little look and kind of got this crazy little smile and scoffed me up to LSU when he was there. And I wound up being with him for a couple of years. But I really believe that the media availability now gives us such an opportunity to evangelize, to catechize, to just do our part in spreading the gospel.
There's so much about the Catholic faith that's so rich and that so many people don't know about and are learning. And you know what? We're still learning. We're still learning. We're still blown away by that. You know, we tell folks why we are Catholic, you know, but then we have the other shows that talk about living your Catholic faith. You know, Father John Ricardo is one of our most popular shows. He comes on at 11 a.m.
He's awesome.
He is incredible, and he's very moving, and he will get you deeper in prayer, you know, and it's he's just amazing. But then we have the other shows with, you know, why are we Catholic? Yeah. And we're learning so much with that, too. So it's been quite the gift.
Didn't his dad just die?
Father John Ricardo?
Yeah, was it him?
No, I don't think that was, I think his dad passed away a while back.
Okay. Because just recently, one of the guys that I hear on the radio was sharing the homily he did at his father's funeral, and it was so moving.
Really?
To hear these priests tell about how important their father was in moving them to the priesthood, and now they're a father to many.
Yes. Isn't
it's
that
like,
something?
oh man, it's one of those little things about being Catholic.
Well, and you get to hear, and that's another thing I love about the station too, is we get to hear the priest's stories. You know, a lot of times we only get to hear them 10 minutes a week, right? And here we're hearing their lives. They're sharing their lives. You know.
Hold that thought, because I want to talk about that particularly when we come back from a short break.
Got it.
Stay with us. We're going to take a short break. You're watching Catholic Life, Ordinary People with Extraordinary Faith. We'll be right back.
Catholic Life Television has created a beautiful aid to prayer with a recording of the recitation of the Rosary. The listener is invited to pray along with the voices and to meditate on the mysteries of the Rosary, whether at home, in the car, or on the computer.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Since the recording features voices from around the Baton Rouge diocese, as well as exquisite music from a local artist, it is entitled River Road Rosary. It is a convenient and inspiring way to include prayer into your day. This beautiful CD may be purchased for $15 plus tax by contacting the television office at 225-242-0218 or email us at television@diobr.org. Also available at these stores:
Welcome back to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. And one of those people with extraordinary faith is my old friend, David Dawson. I don't know which David Dawson is here. Everybody says, which one are you talking about? There's like 6 of them, I think, at last count.
My son is the Marriage and Family Life Director of the Archdiocese.
Right.
And then there's the Deacon David Dawson, who's
now in the seminary to be a priest.
So I have to always sign my emails and letters, not the deacon, not the Family Life Director, the radio guy. I have to clarify.
And Deacon David, who's now seminarian Deacon
Yes.
David, his dad was David Dawson
He
too.
was.
So there was like even more.
He was a lawyer, that's right.
Crazy,
Good
crazy
man.
stuff, man.
Good man.
Crazy stuff.
Yes.
So we were talking before the break about one of the benefits of Catholic radio was that you can have the priest come on and share more about their story than we get, because the homilies are 8 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
And we get it once a week, unless you go to daily mass. And during mass, it's even shorter, and very rarely do you get any personal stories. So,
Right.
So during the break, I was sharing that, Father Josh was one of the seminarians when I was still at the station, came in.
Yes.
And how cool was that?
It was incredible. It was incredible while he was, and I knew it wasn't going to last, because I knew when he became a priest we were gonna lose him, because he was just going to get just a tad busy. But he was just fantastic, as he is now.
Yeah.
He just lights up the place.
Yeah, his parish. Well, I'll tell you what he did. He hosted the relics of John Paul when they came.
Yes.
And I went, and I wanted to tell him that when I saw him last time, and I forgot, but I actually had a physical reaction to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I went to Holy Rosary, waited in line, and I took off my deacon medal and took my rosary out and gave it to the little sisters, and they, touched it onto the relic, and then they
right.
give you prayer cards that they touch, which are, relics in and of themselves when they're done. And I was standing there, and all of a sudden I started shaking and yelling, "Papa, Papa, Papa," and I wasn't in control.
You didn't know this.
And I never realized the impact that he had on my life till Sister said, "Take all the time you need, Deacon, take all the time." And then I said, "No, I'm good." And I sat down right there, and I visibly shook, because it hit me that was the man who was Pope for most of my life.
That's true.
And how much of me came from him,
Yeah.
from the 70s all the way through till his death.
That's true.
And it was like, wow. And you don't think about the impact, because I was an altar boy with John the 23rd
Yes.
for just a few years, and then before that,
And then Pope Paul. Right.
and I got to thank Father Josh for hosting that, because it was such an incredible opportunity for the people to get relics of a saint
Yes.
of our lifetime.
I know, and we give them the opportunity. That's another thing that we do with the radio station, is like, if you have something like that going on, you tell us. We'll get the word out right away, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
So we're constantly getting the word out about that. And I love the fact that they come on during our pledge drives, and they talk about the importance of Catholic radio.
Right.
And one of the best ones, you and I were talking about this during the break, was Father Mark Beard.
Oh,
and
yes.
he was the one that stated the ultimate. He said, "I have 10 minutes every weekend to land this plane." He said, "That's not enough time. We need more information.
Right.
You can only get so much in 10 minutes. We need more information." So I love that description that he gave.
And I'll tell you, he wouldn't mind me saying this, but I interviewed the First Lady right here in this studio about a chapel they're building at one of the prisons.
Wonderful.
And he's her pastor.
Yes.
And she could not speak more highly of Father Mark Beard.
Oh, he's definitely on fire.
He's and you get to share that with people through the media of the radio.
Yeah.
So that's just phenomenal. So tell us about some of the. I know that you're funded from the generosity of the folks. The diocese is not funding you.
Right.
So tell us. I know you said you have some quirky things coming
We
up.
do. We always think outside the box. Everybody has banquets and such, and we realized Saturday nights and weekend nights and weeknights are pretty much full with everybody. So we said, let's think outside the box. Let's do something in the morning. So we came up with brunch, and we wanted to do it on Saturday mornings. That way, when you're done, we're done by noon, you still have the rest of the weekend. You could still go to LSU games and such, So we started that, and we are on we just had our last one in New Orleans, and it was Chef Fols and Leah Chase. You talk about a party. We had a great time, but we had at the very beginning here in Baton Rouge when we started with Chef John Besh, and then Chef Landry, Keith Landry, Kevin Kirk, and Chef Landry. Great guy. We have one coming up in Baton Rouge in February. We have Chef Kevin Belton. He's got he's got a show on PBS, and he's out in New Orleans, and he is dynamite too. And we have Monsignor Nalty from New Orleans join him here. So we kind of bring New Orleans to Baton Rouge and Baton Rouge to New Orleans.
Nice.
We have a lot of fun. But then we have our pledge drive, and I know this is going to date the show. So, but the pledge drive that we're having or had is October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Right.
Okay. That's all day long. Jody, you've been involved with this.
Oh,
it's
yes.
so much fun. We
is.
start at 8 in the morning and we finish at 6 at night, and we beg. But all the folks come in for every hour from all over the parishes. You know, we have priests come in, we have deacons come in.
Yeah.
You know, and just
whenever the
having a great
pledge drive
time.
is going on, you just need to put it on 1380 or 690, wherever you are, and just leave it there, because you don't know who's coming next.
You know, it is thoroughly enjoyable.
It is fun.
It's really good. We have one of our guests is Danny Abramowitz is going to be joining us.
Nice.
And that is I won't tell you the day. You just have to tune in. You know.
Yeah.
But we'll give out a toll-free number. People call in. We don't ask for giant donations. You know, a lot of folks, somebody will call in and say, I could do $5. That's fine.
Right.
You know. Somehow God pays the bills. And sometimes I have to remind him, hey, God, we need to pay the bills. You know, it gets scary sometimes. But, you know.
Sound like
we
Sister Angelica.
Yeah, Mother Angelica, that's right.
Right now.
That's right. But one of her stories was one of the nuns came in and said, we don't have enough money to make payroll. She said, don't go tell me, go tell God, go to the Adoration Chapel. And they got it. So I've been to the Adoration Chapel a few times myself. But we really do count on that. We count on those donations. You know?
Right. Now, do you still do Mass daily from Mercy?
Yes, every
Okay.
day. Every day at noon.
At noon, okay.
Or the cathedral every day at noon.
Mm-hmm. You know, so it's
And
one of
on
the-
Sundays. I guess the only day is on Saturdays, and we do early morning Mass. Well, not early, 7 o'clock Mass from EWTN.
That's the
from
EWTN
Birmingham.
feed. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So I've been lately catching a little bit of EWTN at night,
Yes.
which is pretty interesting, because I never really used to listen at night, but I've been on the road some, and it's some of their program is interesting at night.
It
you know?
is. It is.
Arroyo comes on.
Yeah, the world over. He comes on Thursday nights.
Yeah, and then
Fascinating show.
Yeah, and then Father Mitch is on at night, and I catch him sometimes, and that's always fun, having been in the studio with him.
Oh, and look, this Baton Rouge is one of his favorite places to visit because he loves to hunt. Well, guess what? I mean, we're in Sportsman's Paradise, so when he comes down, he knows he's going hunting or fishing.
Yeah.
So he visits a lot.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So the studio now is over off of Sherwood. It used to be over by the General.
Well, actually, right between the General and Our Lady of the Lake, right there on Suma.
Right.
Small little studio.
Yeah, it's where, and now the studio's nice. I mean,
It is.
really is.
The generosity of a donor. Wonderful man, and we have a building that we're in.
That is nice.
With the studio. You've been by.
Oh yeah, I've been over there. I've been over there several times. But if you do you have a growth plan, a vision?
Yes.
I know you're going to put the transmitter, but
Yeah, the FM is just one of them. But what we're talking about now, and this was from the very beginning what we talked about doing. But one thing, we will always say yes in trying to reach as many people as possible. So when openings or avenues come up for us to broadcast at a higher rate, we're going to do that. We're going to try, to do that. But now it's content. Now we're working on content. We have some great local shows. You better produce a show high end if it's going to keep people's attention. So we have been working on that. We believe we've accomplished that. Now we're talking about offering content to other radio stations or other television stations, around the country, Catholic broadcasting. So that's our next step. That's our next goal, and we're already heading in that direction.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Live radio is a lot harder than what we're doing right now.
Isn't it?
Because if we mess up, we'll just edit it out. We'll just keep going.
That's right. Not so much
I'll tell you a
live
funny
radio.
story. I had George Weigel on when
Yes.
he was in town. And I was told by another deacon who will go unnamed that he was the official biographer of JP2.
Right.
Okay. So I kick off the show and I say,
You're talking live radio.
no, I'm this here.
Oh, okay.
And so I kick it off, and we could have just kept going and corrected it, but he says, stop, stop. He forgot he was on tape. He thought he was live, and we had to stop the show and start all over because he's not the official biographer.
Oh.
And he says, if you look at page 19 of my book, it clearly states that I'm not the official biographer. And I went, oh, well,
I learned
busted.
something today,
Never
too.
read the book.
Yeah, that said two things right there. Okay.
So it's just a different way to do it. But we're blessed because I'm stopped very frequently by the folks at church, any church, and sometimes I'll be out and they'll say, "You look familiar," and it's because of the scope of this, because it runs different times of the day through the week and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
It's just a little bit different. But we can't compete with Catholic Community Radio. You're on all the time.
Well, we try to be. I mean, I've played engineer many times too, to where I've had to run out and kickstart a transmitter and everything. Right. So we try to be on all the time.
Right. Now, are y'all still covering events live, like
yes.
the installation and stuff like that? Did y'all do that?
The last thing that we did was the priest conference that was down in New Orleans. They had a major priest conference. So every now and then we will be on a remote where we can do that. Mm-hmm. And the March for Life, that had been tricky for us a few years because things had gotten moved around. But we work on it every year to see if we can't be out there. But we did cover them. And,
I know.
And the technology is there. It's just a matter of logistics and manpower. We're still growing.
Always the case.
Yes.
So if you're so inclined, you can always help Catholic Community Radio and go on their website. Mm-hmm. And you have a donate button,
yep.
and you can help them out. You can listen to the pledge drive, and it's very highly publicized when it's coming.
Yes.
And any of these events that they're having, these fundraising events, I know that I get notice of them through all different sort of channels. I know you publicize it very well.
Well, for that matter, if you have an event coming up, you go to the website, it's ccradio.live, or just Google Catholic Community Radio or Catholic Radio in Baton Rouge. There is something that says your event. You can actually post an event, and we have quite the calendar. I mean, quite the calendar, pictures and everything. So if something's going on, Jody, in your parish, don't hesitate to do that, because it's kind of become a go-to point for a lot of folks.
So if you have anything you want to post, go in there and post it. Take advantage of this resource that we have that promotes our faith, our beloved Catholic faith. And listen, I'm so glad that y'all are up and fired up and keep going and expanding and all the good stuff. It's close to my heart. And thank you for coming in and updating us on Catholic Radio today.
Sure. Happy to do it.
Good. And thank you for joining us today. We've been talking about Catholic Community Radio, Catholic Radio for Baton Rouge and New Orleans. And if you can do anything to help those guys out and gals, I'm sure they would appreciate it. So till next time, this is Deacon Jody signing off. God bless everyone.